sit down. You cut the hardcore crew chewing the fat. You cut us shooting the shit. You cut us in the moment.
Absolutely no chance. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. It'll never happen.
Now, I haven't watched. I've watched a spot of the documentary. Now, what exactly did he? Did he have nothing to do with wrestling, especially the WWE?
Without spoiling too much, he had an injury, which was he basically screwed his spine completely, and it wasn't through. Well, if you go on YouTube and look at it, you'll think, what the fuck is that? You can find where Davey Boy Smith and Dynamite Kid are in a tag team. I can't remember who they're fighting, but all he basically does is run to one end of the ropes, bounce off, like they used to do. They don't do it so much now, but they bounce off one rope, run to the other side, bounce off another, and then probably do a clothesline.
He was taking on he was taking on Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik, and pretty much Davey Boy was in charge of the whole match.
Yeah, he bounced off one rope, ran across to the other rope, and as he ran to the other rope, I think he caught his foot on the ring apron and fell.
Ooh,
and he couldn't get up.
Shit.
He could not get up. He was fucked. His back had completely gone, shattered, completely out of it.
Just on that?
Just by tripping over on the ring apron. His career ended there and then. Done and dusted. It shows you and tells you about it on the video, but if you want to see it quickly, if you go on the Dynamite Kid's injury, you'll think, what a joke. Because you'd expect someone like that, like Rey Mysterio, do an high-flying move and it go wrong. All he did is trip over the ring apron, and he obviously did something to his spine when he fell, when he tripped. He was basically paralysed from the neck down. He was screwed.
Wow.
You see him lying on the ring apron, and he hasn't even got the strength to get out of the ring or roll out the way. He's still lying inside the ring when the match is on, and he's trying to move, and he can't move. You know, when Austin did his neck and all the referees had to pick him up?
Yeah.
It makes Austin look fit and healthy. The guy is just a mess. He's just lying there, and the match is going round him. Completely going on round him. He does nothing. He might as well have died in the ring. He's completely helpless. He can't lift his arms, his head, his shoulders, his back. He can't do nothing. He's completely lost feeling from the neck down. And that was basically the end of him. Game over.
He must have fell on his neck or something, just hit his neck the right way.
Well, they reckon he'd done that much damage to himself beforehand. He was an accident waiting to happen. And he's obviously just a small little thing like that. And that's
Dang.
it. Gone.
Yeah.
His body just thought, no more.
Yeah. So it wasn't from the actual fall. It was just from, that was like the last call, so to speak.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've never, ever ran at a ring rope. But from what I've heard, wrestlers, unless you're used to them, they are painful until you get used to them.
And it depends on which way you run the ropes. Because if you see, like I've run the ropes many times, especially when we're testing out ring. And if you don't know how to, you're basically throwing your shoulder first into it. If you look at it, when you run into it, it's kind of like your right shoulder's hits it first, and then you roll with it. Then your left shoulder hits the rope, so your full back is on it, and then you bounce off. So, it's basically you're letting your right shoulder, you roll it with your left, turn it and bounce back.
Yeah, I don't know whether he did it wrong or what, but it obviously catapulted him face down, and that was it. Whether it caught him off guard, I don't know. Whether his body just thought, that's it, can't take any more. The video is pitiful to see, actually. But if he'd have had a serious accident in the ring, like thrown off top of, like Mick Foley, I could have understood it. But a stupid little thing like a trip in the ring, and it did that much damage to... Well, it really didn't do the damage. The damage was done. It was just waiting for that trigger just to set it all off.
Well, let me ask you this. Here's another question. Okay, obviously he got hurt in the ring. So, but why has the WWE kind of like shunned him away? Now, again, am I missing something?
Because he's openly gone on TV, and not just normal TV. He's gone on places like CNN and NBC, news things, and basically said, if you want to take steroids, if you want to take drugs, it's up to you what you do. Which, really, it is. It's up to every individual to make that choice. But what he should have probably said, because he was still under contract, taking drugs is stupid. You should not take... He's basically said, if you take them, be prepared to take the consequences. But if you want to take them, take them. He was basically saying to anyone, if you want to take drugs, do it. I ain't going to stop you. Nothing to do with me. So he was, as Vince saw it, he was encouraging people to break the law and take this, that, and the other. And parts of the interview, people that they speak to, like they speak to Harley Race and stuff, and he says, I've known people that have taken steroids. He's not going to drop names, he says, but he took enough steroids to down an elephant. And if you look at him, when he went in the WWE, he was only 160 pounds. When he left, he was something like 268, nearly 300 pounds of pure muscle, not fat. You don't get that big. You don't put 200 pounds of fat muscle on by hard work. But when you see his early stuff, he's one of the thinnest wrestlers I think I've ever seen. He makes like Zach Gowen look fat.
Damn.
Wow.
And then he ended up looking like he did. Made like Dave Bautista look anorexic.
Jeez. So.
But basically, he shit on every single person in the WWE.
Yeah, and that's obviously why the WWE is saying, hey, look, we ain't got no pity for you. You know what? Fuck you. You're on your own.
Yeah, he basically shit on everybody. To get where he was, he climbed over people, stood on people. Some of the stories, like, let's say, for example, I can't think who it was, but we'll just say, even people like Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels would say, oh, fucking hell, where are we tonight? I forgot where we're supposed to be tonight. And he'd say, oh, we're in Tennessee, in the name of a place. So Shawn Michaels would get on the fucking plane and fly to the wrong fucking state and wouldn't be able to appear on WWE show because he thought he was doing him a rib, and he's basically fucked him off. Sent him in a complete wrong direction.
Wow.
Now, that's as much the wrestler's fault for not knowing what the hell he's doing on what particular day, but he's quite well known for his ribs, and his ribs apparently were really nasty. Proper nasty shit. And
then you're not also
it came down to the
about
Rougeau brothers give him a good slapping in the end. Jacques and whatever the other one, the Rougeau brother, the Mounties as they used to be, they apparently gave him his comeuppance, knocked 7 balls of shit out of him.
And this is all about Dynamite Kid. Wow.
Yeah. He was picking up one of the Rougeau brothers, I can't remember which one it is, but one of them was not as active as the other because he had serious cartilage problems. Now, I can't remember which one it is, but the one who had the cartilage problems, Dynamite Kid had issues with. And he kept picking on him all the time. And he said to Dynamite Kid, when my knee is sorted, I'm going to fucking kill you. And Dynamite's, yeah, I've heard it all before. Bring it on, big boy. Anyway, after they gave him the clearance, the doctor said, your knee's okay. He met him walking towards the ring just before a match and sparked cunt. Put him flat on his arse.
Wow.
Yeah, but
you came in a little bit choppy there. We didn't hear what you said over there, Joe.
All right. Basically, it was Jacques who he picked on.
Yeah, and he got what he did. He got. I mean, I don't know how big quarters are in America, but I assume they must be quite small. He got a handful of quarters.
Ooh.
and hit him with them in his hand. So it was basically like hitting him with a knuckle duster, but it was enough to smash his face and knock all his front teeth out. One punch.
Quarters, depending on what size you get hit, they ain't small.
No, they're the largest coins we have in America.
Yeah, apparently he filled his hand full of quarters, and when he walked down the corridor, he just popped him with it, smashed all his front teeth, all the skin. You know that piece of skin that holds your lip or your top lip to your mouth? You got like a piece of skin that I don't know what it's called. Rip that off. You could basically lift his top lip well above his nose. It come detached.
Ow.
One punch. Don't fuck around with the Rougeos.
Yeah.
There's a tough French.
Yeah.
But all that's on the video. And when they're telling the story, although a couple of people tried to defend his honour, they basically said it was going to happen. It was so going to happen because for a year he'd give the Rougeau brothers shit, calling them Nancy boys, and they couldn't fight their way out of a wet paper bag. And this particular day, they showed him they could fight their way out of a wet paper bag.
Apparently they could. Wow.
Put him on his arse, one hit.
Unbelievable. You know, I guess that's what happens. You know, when I wonder if that's how WWE started to be a star foundation.
But do you know that there's one person, and I know a lot of people say this guy's very bitter towards wrestling, but there's one person who shines on the video. Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah.
He just don't like a lot of people.
Although he's very bitter towards wrestling, he always speaks highly of people whose video he's on. He will not badmouth the person whose video... I've seen him on other people's videos, and he's always very nice to them. But everybody else...
Look out.
You'll wait for the shoot videos to come out.
This guy's a bastard, that guy's an asshole, this guy's a motherfucker.
Well, yeah, he does have a valid point. He says the rest... Joe will probably understand this. He says the trouble with wrestling is everybody in wrestling's got an ego. It's an ego-driven business, and really it is. He says, so when people say he's got a big head, or he thinks he's the be-all and end-all, you don't get nowhere in wrestling unless you think you are it. If you don't think you're it, if you don't think you're better than John Cena, he says you've no right putting wrestling boots on. And I fully agree. It's like any industry. If you want to be the top of an industry, you've got to be prepared to sacrifice everything. You haven't got to be one of them people that thinks, I always like go McDonald's on a Tuesday, and they want me wrestle at WrestleMania on a Tuesday, and I really want go McDonald's. If you've got things like that running around in your head, you shouldn't be wrestling.
Hell no.
I couldn't do what John Cena does, because John Cena, even in his videos, he's not been to families' parties and weddings, and to me, they are important things that you should go to, but he's give them up for the WWE, and not a lot of people would do that. Imagine, Rick, for argument's sake, your son was getting married, and you thought, no, I'm not getting the wedding, I'm going to do my show tomorrow. I couldn't do it. No way could I do it. But unfortunately, Cena does, and that's why he's where he is.
I mean, he also has, a super-sized house. He's, a 14-time world champion, and he's got, cars in his garage.
Yeah, his car collection's probably worth more than we'll ever earn in a lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, he's made some sacrifices, and with sacrifice comes reward.
Yeah. I couldn't do what he's done. I really couldn't.
I'm going to tell you, if I ever chose a career like that, I would make sure I wouldn't have kids. And that's the one thing he chose not to do. He chose not to have kids. He had a wife, and he did have to sacrifice a marriage.
Yeah, I think it's an industry that it suits single people, but there isn't many married people that stay. I know was it Randy Orton's parents, Cowboy Bob Orton, always brags about we're still together, and Ted DiBiase, me and my wife are still together, but there isn't many. You can probably count them on one hand It's not the sort of industry to be in full time and run a marriage.
No, not at all. You know, those who do get away with that, it's luck. I don't think it's something that a lot of people can say they can do that and get away with. Even Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan lost a marriage because of it. We know Ric Flair hasn't gotten away with a lot of marriages. Didn't get away with it.
Fucking hell, he's had more marriages than I've had shits in a year, I think.
Those who brag, that's lucky, or they're very, very faithful women, whatever it is you want to call it. But and also let's be realistic. Bob Orton, even though he was on the road a lot, he wasn't. I'm sure he had to go out and go home and be with his wife whenever it was. He wasn't, the world champion like he was Hulk Hogan. If you want to think about that,
he was the son of a bitch with a cast on his arm.
Yeah. I don't know how much more on the road he was compared to Hogan. So that's just me. I mean, we did see him a lot. I remember seeing him just as much as Hogan back in the day. But there are a lot of wrestlers who are divorced. Even back then and now. So it happens. I think that's why a lot of the WWE today says, "Hey, look, you want to, be with somebody who's in, who's with, a wrestler from today? Why not? In the company, you want to be with somebody in the company, like, Orton's now seeing JoJo, and now of course, Cena is now dating one of the Bellas, and we have Bryan dating one of the other Bellas. You think that's for convenience, or?
This is probably what Vince keeps saying. If you do, just use a rubber. Because we don't need high for our dealers getting out of commission.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I'm sure he provides all the...
whether they use them or not, that's another story.
I don't know if it's about rubbers or not. I'm sure they just, and all other forms of contraceptives, I'm sure, is provided by the WWE. Probably even has their logos on it.
Quickly, it's a bit of a shit. It's not very good. There's a shit quality version of what happened to Dynamite Kid. It's a bit of a shit quality video. There are better videos on YouTube, but it's the first one I've just found. And it does show quite clearly that it was a bullshit-looking injury, but the guy's gabbaged. Went out on a wheel. Went out on a stretcher and end off.
Suffered severe back injury. Like to a ring.
There are a lot. You can find a lot clearer and a lot better quality of it. This is obviously shot by somebody in the audience. There's actual footage of the match. But that was it. It was game over. From nothing, really.
Yeah. Now, it looked like you got kicked in the back.
Yeah, it was just a knee, but if you notice, there was no weight behind the knee.
Oh.
And then he just drops down, and then as you watch the video, he's just, from the neck down, he's fucked.
He doesn't look like he tripped, though.
Yeah, when he jumps over the guy, when you actually watch the video, he goes into, he jumped over the guy, and as he jumps, he caught his toe under his back, and it tripped him forward. So he fell into the ropes, turned. Somebody stuck the knee in his back, which was supposed to have happened anyway. And then he just drops on the floor, and that's it. Game over. Good night, Vienna.
Damn.
You know what? I don't know. I don't think so. That's... Watch, because see... His foot never even goes by the apron. I thought is what happened when he went, like somehow his foot went underneath the apron and went, ba-doom.
He goes...
I don't know.
He catches his heel or something under the apron, and as he runs towards the guy, and he's supposed to jump over him. When you jump over stuff and you catch your toe, That's what he
you
says
know,
happens. But when you watch the proper video, it's a lot. That's a shit quality. That's shot by somebody in the fucking crowd. That is. But well, you see what he's like now, and
yeah. See, I don't doubt
he's
it. I just thought.
just a fucking mess. But everybody on the interview, before they talk about the end of his career, basically said his body was in that much of a mess. They don't know how he could walk.
Wow. Oh.
Even Honky Tonk Man says he says we all know the Mick Foley fall. He says, to be perfectly honest, Mick Foley's injuries, all Mick Foley's injuries, and Dynamite Kid, well, he calls him Tom all the way through the thing. Tom was like that on a weekly basis.
But I think Mick Foley was a more of a healthy person in general who just took really amazing bumps. Where this guy, I mean, he was like, I mean, by his own, admission, was taking massive amounts of steroids, and steroids does not really do your body great.
No.
I think I've said to you before, one of my friends is a door supervisor, and he's tried everything to get big, and he can't. And one of the guys who he works with is on steroids, and he's only got to trip up a curb, and his knee will swell up like you wouldn't believe. He's got no pain, because steroids is a great thing for hiding pain. And the reason why your body tells you you've got pain is if you've got like a knee injury, your knee hurts, so your body tells you not to put weight on your knee. When you take steroids, it's like a massive painkiller, the way that they work. You don't know you've got a knee injury, so you keep running on it, and you cause more injury.
Interesting.
So where if he wasn't taking them, his body would say, look, your knees are fucked, you can't walk. He's just walking around and doesn't even know he's got pain because it's null. The pain is basically numbed. Like when you go and have your teeth out, you don't feel your teeth for a couple of hours. That's basically what steroids does to you. And then when the effects wear off, that's when you're like, oh my God. That's why people are on them. Keep taking them. It's like when they're on uppers and downers. I really don't see why you need to take a pill to keep you wide awake, and then you need to take a pill to make you go asleep at night.
Some people do, unfortunately. They just, they're on that high, and they just need that boom to get that. You know what I mean? They need that extra pill to take them out.
I think
it's the dependency.
I think how the story sort of pans out, he was the first one, or the first line of wrestlers to start introducing steroids and pills into the locker room. That's how the story seems to come over to me.
Yeah. And that's when it started going public, and you think where Hulk Hogan finally, when they brought Hulk Hogan, came public and everything.
Yeah, I think that's why the WWE would not touch him with a barge pole, because with him being so open about it, whilst he was there and when he left, that's why the WWE had all that shit about steroids in the locker room and wrestlers dying. It's basically through his comments that the finger was pointed. Well, we know you do drugs, Vince, because we've been told. So I think that's why he'll never be allowed in the Hall of Fame for that reason. I think Chris Benoit's got more choice of being in than he has. And I think that's extremely slim.
Wow. But listen, guys, I want to let you know we did get caught ourselves in the moment. I hit the record button because this is an interesting conversation. And we're talking about Dynamite Kid's famous injury. I can get the tongue out. Dynamite Kid's famous injury, and also his documentary, Dynamite Kid. It's called A Matter of Pride. It's also on YouTube at the moment. For the moment, it probably won't be on for a long time. So if you guys get a chance, go look it up and check it out. It's an incredible documentary. Andy, while we're doing this little short video, what we can tell you everybody can find you at?
Yeah, you can find me on my paranormal website, which is www.stokehaunted.com.
All right. Lance, where can everybody find you at?
youtube.com/LanceMossTV.
All right, Joe, thank you for joining us. Where can people find you at? Well, Joe's not here,
He just
but
got back.
Oh, he did.
Yes, I just got back. They let me out of the Looney Farm again.
They did let you lose your phone. Well, thank you for joining us in the moment. We want to let you know. Where can you find you at?
They can find me at ClassicWrestlingAssociation.com. That's our website. You can also find me on Facebook at Classic Wrestling Association on Facebook. On Twitter, they can find us on Joseph Knight CWA on Twitter.
And as always, we want to thank Will for hanging out with us. Will, what do you got coming up?
What we got coming up is football, and more wrestling.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for right now, and be sure to join us for our regular show, Hardcore Wrestling Radio. So till the next time, this is Rick Starr saying we'll see you when we see you.
Thank you for listening to this edition of In the Moment. Be sure to check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/Hardcore Wrestling Radio. And as always, be sure to follow us at Spreaker.com/HWR Media. Thank you.